All around the world, people rely heavily on different modes of transportation every single day to get to the places they need to go. What we may or may not realize, however, is how much of an effect internal combustion engine, or ICE, vehicles have on our environment. To some, this may be a new term, so let me explain. Within an engine of a vehicle, the ignition and combustion of fuel occurs to create energy which can be used to power the vehicle. In doing so, carbon dioxide and other harmful gases are being released into the atmosphere and contributing to climate change. According to the EPA, or the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the typical passenger vehicle emits about 4.6 metric tons of carbon dioxide per year. This assumption is based on the average gasoline vehicle having 22 miles per gallon fuel economy and driving around 11,500 miles per year. This is only one vehicle out of a sea of vehicles driving every day across the planet. In releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, it contributes to a larger problem of global warming resulting in climate change. Climate change is something that is talked about a lot, but not often acted on. In the vehicle department, however, we are working towards a more carbon-neutral option. The idea of electric vehicles is starting to take hold on minds across the world. Now, there are different types of EVs that might not be known. One, there are battery electric vehicles, those that do not rely on gasoline or internal combustion, meaning absolutely no exhaust emissions. Instead of relying on internal combustion, electric vehicles rely on an onboard battery pack and electric motor for power. The battery can be recharged in two ways. One, an electric power source, like plugging it in, and two, through regenerative braking. The second type of EV is a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, which are partly powered by gasoline and partly by electricity. These two can use regenerative braking to recharge the battery as well. And the third is hybrid electric vehicles, which are also powered by both gas and electricity, but differ from the plug-in because they only rely on regenerative braking to charge/recharge the battery. For the sake of this podcast and for your knowledge going forward, when I refer to EVs, I am mostly going to be referring to fully electric vehicles unless otherwise stated. Electric vehicles offer a better option for the environment without changing our need for transportation. Not only do EVs provide no exhaust emissions, but they are also quiet and cost less in the long run. No need to pay for gas, and maintenance comes less often. That said, there are some downsides to EVs. They aren't quite perfect yet. Charging is a must, but you would need to charge off the grid, which itself produces a large amount of carbon emissions. The batteries themselves only last so long as well. After a certain amount of time, the battery does not hold as much power, meaning you won't get as far off one charge. Range is also dependent on weather and road conditions. The colder the area, the less ground you're going to cover on one charge. That said, there are advantages in these things as EVs become more popular and grow in time. There are options to recycle batteries that can no longer be used within the vehicles. They are even being reused for less power-hungry electronics such as lawnmowers and automated machinery. Though these things aren't as readily available as we might hope, they are being worked upon to create a greener option for our future. It was found by researchers from the universities of Cambridge, Exeter, and Nijmegen in the Netherlands that in 95% of the world, driving an electric car is better for the environment than driving a gasoline-powered car. As things advance, it will be even cleaner for the environment. But is going full electric the answer here? Should we all be considering dropping what we have and flocking to EVs? Yes and no. While EVs truly are the better option for the health of the planet, it isn't such a good idea to flock to one over the other. There is an interactive article published by the Wall Street Journal which compares the carbon footprint of an EV, specifically a Tesla Model 3, to that of a gasoline car, Toyota RAV4, from the beginning of production. Right out of the gate, even before driving a mile, Tesla generates more CO2 emissions than the RAV4 because of the metals needed for its lithium-ion battery. By 200,000 miles, though, the lifespan of a typical car, the RAV4 has generated 78 tons of greenhouse gases, while the Tesla generated less than half of that at 36 tons. By this comparison, it seems as if EVs are the future. However, they introduce 4 different scenarios since Tesla and Toyota are 2 options out of sea of companies and models. Scenario 1. Business as usual. ICE/gas-powered vehicles continue to dominate for the foreseeable future, and EVs don't reach more than 10% of the new car sales by 2050. Carbon emissions are through the roof, and we are well out of the target within the Paris Agreement. Scenario 2. Hybrid Nation. Those worried about charging EVs flock to hybrids instead. While gasoline consumption would fall, resulting in lower emissions, they would still not be low enough to meet the Paris goals. Scenario 3. California Dreaming. A scenario in which states pushed aggressive mandates like California, stating it wanted all new cars sold in the state to be EVs by 2035. Emissions would drop considerably, but electricity use would grow immensely. Scenario 4. Mix of strategies. With a mix of all types of vehicles, electric, hybrid, and gas-powered vehicles, while still promoting EVs, emissions would fall the most. The demand for different products would be even, meaning things would not be impossible to produce. We are in a transition period. It is apparent to us, dependent on transportation as we are, that electric vehicles are the way to benefit the environment as quickly and as cleanly as possible. But during this transition, flocking to one will not benefit us. Not until we are more technologically advanced in the front of EVs can we flock to them. The simplest answer right now is to promote the use of vehicles that best suit your needs to keep the carbon emissions as low as possible until advancements are made.